beer was made with malt, hops, and yeast, and sugar, and water. And then you cooked that, and after it was cool enough so it didn't kill the yeast, you put the yeast into it and mix it up and let it work. When it stopped working, that's when they drink it. So somebody told Dad that when he was brewing the malt and the hops and the sugar, if he'd put in some barley or wheat and cook it along with it, it made stronger beer. So he did. I used to take the mash after it was all cooked and everything, and take it out and throw it along the side of the barn. So it was in the fall of the year. Missy Breens let the chickens out. So the chickens got out, and they somehow or another weren't in trouble getting through the fence. They got through the fence. They get into this mash. They get into the mash, all laying in the yard with their feet up in the air. Missy Breen didn't know what happened. No, she had one. No, she got one about half plucked and sobered up. Missy Breen called the revenue man. Oh, 3 or 4 days later, a couple of them come down, and they come into the house, and they said, Mr. Bentz, we understand you're making some beer. Yes, Dad said I did. Do you have a permit? Yes, I have a permit. Well, he said, how are you making it? Well, Dad said the same as the recipe I always have. Well, he said, do you have any on hand? Dad said, yes. Could we taste it? Dad said, well, certainly. So I went down and I brought up the quart bottles. I brought up a bottle, and they opened it, and they each tasted it, and then they said, well, that's not bad beer. Could we have some to take away? Could we have a bottle to take away? Dad said, well, sure. So they took a bottle away, and they come back in maybe a week, and they said, Mr. Bentz, we'll have to have your permit to make beer. You can't make it anymore. Well, Dad says, well, why not? I'm not bootlegging. I'm not selling it or anything. No, they said, you're not selling it. But he said the beer that the government produces now is 12%. This that you're producing is 18. He said, you're not making beer, you're making alcohol. And we can't have that, Mr. Bentz. You'll have to give us your permit.